Prop 100 was supported by parents and teachers and just folks all across Arizona because they felt it was a desperate situation. $1.1 billion had come out through of K-12 education because of Jan Brewer's cuts. So they knew that any more cuts would be devastating to public education in Arizona. And they came out and they did what they had to do to put Prop 100 into effect. But for Jan Brewer to take credit for somehow saving education with Prop 100 is like taking credit for saving somebody from the water when you're the ones that pushed them in. You can't say you saved them from drowning when you're the one that pushed them over the side.
You know, that's interesting, Terry, because, you know, and it's somewhat fascinating because I got involved in politics because of education, because I understand just how important it is to our state and to our country. It's the future. And I did lead the campaign because if I hadn't have done that, education would have been decimated. It was tough times. We did not have the funds because of the prior administration. You know, they were spending money left and right. Times were good, new programs, spending the rainy day fund. It wasn't even raining. And then I arrived and I have to solve it all. It has been a tough road to hoe, but I've got the job done.
Well, the fact is that school districts were already drawing up the list of teachers they were going to fire. I have a sixth grader at home, and he has seen and came home with a note from his principal saying that if Proposition 100 didn't pass, 130 teachers were going to be fired from Phoenix Elementary District. That's blackmail. That is putting people right against the wall and saying, you've got to do this or your schools are toast. And that, I think, is a failure of planning. It's a failure at the very beginning of this governor's term to put the problems on the table and say, okay, what are our priorities and how are we going to get them done?
Let's go back to what we've heard a couple of times here, and that is that the previous administration fiscally mismanaged the budget and overspent by leaps and bounds. We've heard this from a couple of different candidates here at the table tonight. Previous administration, Democratic governor. How do you respond to that?
It's a lot of shifting of blame because at this moment, everybody knew that when we went into the election in 2008 that Arizona had approximately a $3 billion deficit. That was out for everybody to see because we were in a national recession. Everybody got caught in that recession. Now, I'm not here to make excuses for Janet Napolitano. I think she made some mistakes as governor, but she's gone. And now Jan Brewer has the job, and I don't think it does any good for her to continue to shift the blame back. She needs to take responsibility for what she has done. And what she has done is failed to balance the budget any year that she's been governor, and she's failed to put a jobs plan on the table, and she's failed to treat our urgent need to bring jobs back to Arizona with the urgency that it deserves. And we've got to do that.
Please respond to that.
That's a whole lot to respond to. First and foremost, let me just say that, you know, I don't know if Terry Goddard really supported Proposition 100 or not, but I do know that he did jump on a few days before it went to the ballot, tested the wind and got on board. He knew it was the only solution. Bottom line is that Jan Brewer had to move in and correct a huge mess. In 2006, we knew because of big spending and new programs and smoke and mirrors that Arizona was headed into bankruptcy. And then on top of that came the recession. So, you know, there but for the grace of God, I arrived and rolled up my sleeves and put my pencil to paper and did the job.